Hello and welcome. My name is Paweł Piwosz and you are listening to Last Week in IT, the weekly podcast. Together with my fantastic co-hosts Jakub Siwiecki and Jan Mazurek, we'll give you our perspectives on recent news, events, announcements and many more. And we do it in our own style. Join us and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of our podcast, Last Week in IT, where together with my colleagues we are touching interesting subjects from the IT world. And actually, as right now we are approaching the summer holiday season, I think it's a good opportunity for all of those young people who would like to gain some experience and gain some knowledge in working in the IT industry while having the break from the universities or schools to practice their own skills in applying for some summer internship in various different companies. I remember myself, that's how my journey with the IT world started back in the university when I actually applied for one of the summer internship. But I know that not always it is very easy and not always the companies are willing to hire people without any kind of particular experience. And even when you have the junior position titles or associate position titles in the job description, there is still some information about the need of obtaining or having at least some experience, like 6 months of proven commercial experience. And I was wondering, Pavel, Kuba, what is your experience in that area? How did you started to gain experience in the IT world? Was it before you actually begin your professional career while still being at the university, or was it already after? What's your story here?
Right, it's a very good topic, and in my case, it's a little bit different, let's say. At least it was like 25, 30, 40 years ago, because my first contact with the computer, a little bit more than just game, was when I was like 8 or 9. So imagine Dark Ages, like 80s in the previous century. So it was not that common to have computer at home or whatever, right? So colleague of mine, they had, if I remember correctly, it was Atari 800 XL. And once this is something that I remember, and I will remember always. We try to rewrite one program from one magazine about programming, and with our typing skills, etc., there's like 30 40 lines of code took us, I don't know, 6 hours of typing, and of course the program didn't work. It was a little bit discouraging,
Was it
let's
because
say.
of like some dot that you miss or?
Um, Honestly, we don't know, because we at that time we didn't have any idea how to make this code, let's call it persistent, so saved in any way or whatever. So we just lost it. But anyway, that was the start, and I was around IT almost always. I had education related to IT before I went to some marketing and banking studies, so it was always somewhere around. And my first job also was quite heavy, I would say, in this case, because I joined one of the biggest Polish bank and become administrator of the central banking system. It is a little bit different than normally you can see. So I'm not the best person to answer your question, Yashu, I think, in this case.
Kuba, what about yourself?
Hard to define exactly when I started because when I reach out to my past, my memory, I remember that definitely my first memory is with when I was buying some parts for PC for some other people, and I was building PCs for them and installing everything. Then there was a time when there was a time when you were able to change the speed of processor. I think it was AMD, right?
Yeah,
So
for Intel it was also possible. Yeah, that was like a
may I don't
even the button called turbo, right?
Turbo, maybe I don't recall that. Possible. And then I remember that I think back then IT industry didn't exist. Like maybe in basement, dark rooms, maybe Pavel was dealing with his stuff. at least for me, it was not something that exists. It emerged someday. But I remember that programming exists, and I tried something with I think it was Turbo Pascal, then Delphi, and then I don't like remember what happened like for several years, but something that was connected with IT definitely. And then during my university, I remember that I needed to learn statistic and some software that is connected with it. And then I thought, okay, I will write master degree using some program. But first, I need to write this program. And I remember that I had my master degree written in R, and after that I figured out that I can help others to write some programs, and I found even that there are some software that can help to write programs for research, Inquisit I think, and some other software. Probably you're completely not familiar with those tools. So that was my, I would say, like beginning, but can I call it like the industry? I'm not sure.
I wouldn't say those are the commercial
Uh, well,
experiences,
that
right?
was
Because
commercial for me
that's
because I
exactly
was
what I'm.
selling my service. Hey, come on.
Well, writing your master
Mm,
thesis at the university,
no,
that's not
like
necessarily
helping
commercial,
others to
right?
write.
Later on, afterwards, yeah, of course, of course. But what I'm thinking about here is, I remember I was 16 when I went to my first work. Not in IT, definitely. That was
Construction.
different period.
Ah,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
get.
I
I'm
was
just
helping in
looking at your
construction.
muscles. So,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. So that's how I, when I begin my work. But I think in general, a professor at university told me that 5 years of work experience is sometimes more valuable than 5 years of education of university in an area that is not necessarily needed for the market in general. And I was wondering, like, do you think, because a lot of companies in the IT world as well are now pushing towards the CSR, corporate social responsibility, right? There's a lot of events to become more green, more energy efficient, have some kind of programs. But at the same time, not necessarily all of the companies have a dedicated program for summer internships. And I was wondering, do you think companies should have this? Do you think it could be useful? Did you use the service or those kind of summer internship to gain additional skills when you were developing yourselves?
if I may refer to my experience before getting into IT industry, because I studied psychology. And during my studies, I decided as well to gain this experience that I planned for my future career, because I made some several switch during my life to become a trainer as quickly as possible. So I decided to start from the first year. Why not? Why I should wait next 5 years? Hey, come on! It's not like I'm not a surgeon, so I'm not going to like kill somebody.
You do not twist someone's stomach; you just twist someone's brain, right?
Well, it's just teaching, so well, but probably anyway. And back then, it was extremely difficult to find some company who could. I'm not even referring to hiring, but some kind of internship, some kind of volunteer event to learn the skill. And what was the reason? And I think this is common for probably that will be something that you and Pavel, you will say that is common for IT as well, because such person without any experience or some kind of knowledge is a person who takes time, and it's risky because you cannot send this person to have a conversation with the customer, right? So you need to have some kind of kindergarten. Sorry for this word, but you need to teach this person the business skill and the skills that are necessary to be effective, efficient in such work. So my workaround back then was to find a way, well, maybe not to find a way, to create my own ways to learn the skill. So I started teaching students. Why not? And based on that, that helped me because during some interviews and so on, I was able to refer to something, some real projects Like if you studying IT, doesn't matter what kind of, is it like Java, business analysis, or anything, and you have some project on the GitHub or project for your friends, for someone, or even some project that you just like, it's like maybe doesn't change the world, but it's something that you can refer to. It's something real. So I would say that is that is some kind of hint that I would share with others. So guys, can you refer to any of my mumbling words
I,
that I share with you?
if I understand you correctly, no, I'm kidding. I think I understand. And you're right. So
Well, I
first,
don't understand myself
that's
correctly, so
yeah, maybe we are brighter than you. Of course, I'm kidding.
of course you are.
I I do not even try to not do something else. Anyway, going back to the business, I think that this is very important to build the portfolio, your own portfolio, before you go to the market, right? Because during the 5 6 years of study, you have plenty of possibilities, occasions to try something easy. Let's be honest, easy things, right? Now the problem, I think, is that, and all of us watched the one video where some guy explained why and how he works with students, right? Probably we will not link this video because it's in Polish, so not that many people will have some fun with that. The problem, also stated by this guy, is that the schools, the teaching system, right, is not preparing people to, let's say, be.
In business, generally, in business.
Yes, yes and no, and I'm looking for some specific word here because I don't want to, offend anyone, but to be like a self-efficient, right? So first of all, the hard skills like programming languages, like things related to I'm going crazy right now, to clouds, to DevOps, to CI/CD, etc., etc. If we are in the IT industry, is this part is almost not existing at all in the this level of learning process. With the programming skills, it's a little bit better, but also with some kind of, let's call it, laboratory examples. It's not the real life. So who is coming to us after they have their master degree or whatever? We have people who are not really experienced in the programming domain. They don't know how the SDLCs, how the life cycles looks like. They don't have social skills, which are important right now in IT business. I always say that IT become people business, not just technical, right?
Technical
And
itself.
this is a big problem. Our education system, not necessarily in every country in the world, but in general, right? In some places there is the situation is better, in some places it is worse. Is not ready, really.
And this is something that I was trying maybe not clearly to state as well, that there is a huge gap
Mm-hmm.
between education and someone who should be graduated from, doesn't matter what kind of, maybe it differs from this subject to a different subject, someone who graduates and should be ready to start from the first day, and such person usually it's not ready to start from the first day.
That's why I liked what happened in Sweden. Like from what I heard some years ago, there was a situation in which when you were doing a master thesis at the university from the computer science, you needed to make a program for the external customer. And with my friends, I was playing a lot of a game called Magica, which was a very interesting RPG type of game where you had four wizards, you could, go kill monsters, whatever. But as far as I understood, that game was made as a master thesis diploma at the university by some students from Swedish university.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, mind blowing because here I am playing a released product, right, which just some students did. So why not, other students around the universities can do the same. It's a completely different world to write a small program that just do
Yep.
one thing. You learn a certain algorithm or certain process, whatever, and a completely different thing to make a full-blown scale SDLC like
Yes.
Pavel mentioned, right? So that's why I think it is very important. And of course, we will not be able to influence the universities. But what we can do is we can encourage our listeners to actually look for opportunities and to find a ways how they can invest their time, how they can invest their maybe even money for some training programs, courses, but maybe also there are companies who are offering those summer internships, or even, a friend of mine received an interesting offer that he was going for the university to study computer science, and he actually decided to take the part-time school on the weekends, and from Monday to Friday to work full-time in a company to have both education and working experience over the course of those 5 years. And I think that's a quite an interesting idea, which I applauded,
Yeah,
and I
I've done
encourage
it
people to do that
this
kind
20
of thing.
couple years ago, right? So I had my learning process during the weekends and then working process during the, well, whole week. And for me, it was uh, really tough. But yeah, that's for sure is the scenario you can follow and go with that. And Yeshu, you mentioned when you asked the first question to us, you mentioned CSR, right? And these programs where the companies are doing something good to the world, how it sounds, right? And they do not necessarily take care about the, let's say, upskilling. Maybe upskilling is wrong word. Teaching young people how to work, right? And I think the answer here is simple because don't get me wrong, CSR is quite easy stuff, right? You have to plant a tree, green up, put into the soil, done, right? With teaching others, this is a really big problem. And it's not that easy to find someone in the organization who, first of all, has really good technical skills. Second, is willing to pass this knowledge to others. And third, is able to do so. Because it's not just blah, 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 blah to others. You need to do it right. Right. So this is not easy, and probably this is the main reason why not many companies are doing this. And also, this is kind of expensive stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, we all live in big cities that have a lot of IT companies in our area, and we don't have enough people
Yes.
on the market with the right skills, and companies are really competing strongly against one another.
Yes.
And I think there is a time and there is a need to actually start developing your own talents and to divide your time and divide the energy to actually make sure that the way you develop your talents is aligned with the expectations of your company, but also with the expectations of the market. So that's why I think it's a no-brainer for me. Like,
Yeah.
there should be programs and there should be opportunities. And once again, I would say people need to realize that this is a fast-paced growing
Yeah.
industry, and they need to divide their time, attention to upskill themselves using any means
Yes,
available.
and sometimes this is a very simple business decision, and very simple in quotes, because you can, let's say, use one person from your company to teach others, and let's call it lost billable position for this person. But in the same time, you will grow 10 others, which will join your company, hopefully, and help, right? Or you can just have this one person and fight for others on the market, right? So mm, yeah, it's quite simple.
Jakub, thoughts about this?
Well, I can just repeat what Paolo said. So I think this is just a calculation, and I think this is a calculation that I don't want to say like everybody, but rather every company owner, manager, etc., should ask himself, herself, depending on times, depending on the situation on the market, depending on as well the company situation. So sometimes you have everyone on board, like everyone just like roll up their sleeves, and you don't have anyone who could take care of such person. But then I mean, some such person. I mean, to teach someone. But then the
Hmm.
question is, maybe you're able to find someone. Maybe universities they should teach us not only the skills, but as well how we can learn ourselves. Because I can just imagine someone who just enter some company and is shadowing properly such person, maybe not connecting, not showing to the customer, but just like looking at such person. This is the my story. This is the way how I learned how to install Windows, Linux in the past when PC was something new. How to set up, how to use BIOS, how to reset BIOS, how to do many things, because I was just observing someone who was doing that, and I was just sitting and like and looking what is happening. And sometimes, of course, I was asking some questions, but the person was not teaching me. The person was doing his stuff.
Job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I gained some knowledge, and then of course I had several fuck ups because I did not make notes. I was just like learning it, trying to remember. So I made some mistakes, but based on the knowledge that I gained and my mistakes, I was able to find some new solutions. Okay, maybe next time I should change a different option. I should do this and this. And of course, that was the time when Stack Overflow I think did not ever back then exist or anything like that. So it was not so easy to find knowledge. To I'm referring to those who are maybe who don't remember such times when it comes to the internet and time without Google.
And I think on that, it's a good moment to finish our episode for today. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you got inspired. And if you are considering to change the career path, you will use the summertime wisely to, first of all, enjoy a bit of break, use the good weather, but also upskill yourself in obtaining new and interesting knowledge areas, skills, or technical expertise that will help you in your future career. And for now, Pavel, Jakub, as always, has been great pleasure talking to you. And I hope to see you again
Same
in our
here.
next
Take
episode.
And
care.
good weather in Scotland may be treated a little bit differently, but still can be good. Thank
Bye.
you very much. And that's it for today. This was Last Week in IT. Thank you for listening and please join us for the next episode. Follow us on social media, subscribe and comment. If you agree, disagree, or just want to say hello, we are waiting for you. Stay tuned, stay IT.